Ghost Academy by E.C. Farrell, and we are on chapter 16. Words echo through my sluggish mind, or around me. Actually, I'm not sure where they're coming from. A woman's reedy voice swirls in my ears. I fight to understand her, but my brain can't make sense of the sounds and syllables. Straining to hear more clearly, I let out a whimper that's way more pathetic than I care to admit. Cold numbs me and my stiff limbs won't do what I tell them. A part of my brain understands that pain hovers just beyond my reach. The moment that cold thaws, agony will hit full force. My inability to move fuels my terrified confusion. I try to struggle against it, hearing myself whine yet again. Then a hand touches my face. It's warm and callous and smells of cedar. Rafe. I peel my eyes open to see those dark eyes, that trio of freckles, those kissable lips. Still only half aware of the reality of this situation, I cup the back of his neck, my thumb trailing across the faint red scars I would do anything to wipe away. You're sad. My tongue tangles. So sad. I don't want you to be sad. Smash all the glass. That woman doesn't deserve good glass. He lets out a breath and ducks his head. You're okay, a little loopy, but okay. Thank goodness. How do you feel? I groan as my thoughts finally speed up and start to come together. That numbness slowly fades, so naturally pain follows. Fire pulses out from the spot on my shoulder, clawing across my chest and down my stomach and up my throat. I dig the fingers of my free hand into the blanket under me, so I don't reach up to touch it. Don't ask stupid questions. Everything hurts, all of it. I wince. You didn't get hit, did you? With a slight laugh, Rafe waves a hand and sits next to me. I only realize then that I'm lying on one of the stiff beds in the healer ward. The room isn't huge, but there's enough space for about 6 of those beds and a pair of desks near the front door. Out of the corner of my eye, I can see Miss Alvarez humming by her desk with a clipboard, lips puckered to one side. It's just a flesh wound, Rafe says, but they're shocked you're still functioning after the hit you took and that crazy spell you performed. Where did that come from? I'm not sure. I grimace when I try to adjust. The words just came to my mind. Kind of like a song, you know the lyrics do so well that you don't even think about it. I don't know if that makes sense. It does, Rafe says. Kaz says, we wouldn't have made it out of there without that spell. Thanks for saving us. Thanks for carrying me like a damsel in distress. Though if anyone asks, I was a force to be reckoned with that didn't have to be swept off my feet. In retellings, I expect to be portrayed as a warrior queen who neutralized half the Xers before we ran. We both laugh and the movement jars my injured shoulder. When I wince, Rafe's face falls. Kaz says they hit us with spelled salt or something like that. Miss Alvarez says it'll take a few days for the pain to go away. Psh, rude. Again, I resist the urge to touch the painful spot. Please tell me I'm going to come out of this with an awesome scar at least. It takes a little doing, but I'm finally able to crane my neck enough to see the place where the special bullet or whatever hit me. The sleeve of my tank top is tucked under my arm to leave my shoulder completely exposed for the healer to work on. Dark lines branch out from a black mark just above my clavicle. I grimace. Gnarly. It is that, Miss Alvarez says, gliding from her corner to my bedside. Those blasted bullets can't kill ghosts, but they can certainly do a number on us. They'll knock you unconscious if you're hit in the right spot. The swelling and pain should dissipate in a week or so. You'll carry those ugly lines until you pass on, though, I'm afraid. Well, that's garbage. I snicker a little. Guess tube tops will be out then. Makes you look tough, Rafe says. Warrior queen, remember? I poke his knee, and don't you forget it. a sigh, Rafe lifts the edge of his t-shirt but winces and lets it drop. He glances at me, then shuts his eyes and uses our cool ghosty powers to remove it. The sight of his back reminds me of his mother's attack and sparks fury in my gut. I dig my nails into the bed under me and then force my eyes down to the gunshot wound on his side, nearly sitting up again when I see it. Black spreads from the thick gash over his ribs along his stomach and snakes up his spine. The same sort of smoke that spread from my shoulder in the woods coils up from his injury. Miss Alvarez clicks her tongue, as I thought, to lie down. Is he going to be okay? The healer shifts to block my view. Never you mind, you need rest, and worrying about Mr. Warren is not conducive to recovery. Conducive to recovery. I'll fix him right up, and he'll likely be out of here before you. Though if it helps you relax, neither of these are very deep. The bullets just grazed him. She hovers her hands over Rafe's side. This time, when the life flash edges into my vision, I give it my full attention. I'm in a bedroom, the same drug-filled one I saw before. Strong arms hold me back as I wail. Cody lies on the bed covered in blood and completely still. The healer, bending over him, drops her hands, face twisted into an apology. It fades again, leaving me behind in tears and confusion. I still can't remember what killed him, no matter how hard I try. As I sniff, attempting to get myself under control, Rafe reaches out around Miss Alvarez's side. I grab his hand, hanging on to the only thing that feels solid at the moment. That night, harsh whispers break me out of half-sleep. I squint through the dim light of the healer's ward to the partially open door. Miss Alvarez stands with Mr. Q in the hallway. As she gestures towards my bed, her red glasses slide down to the tip of her nose. We told you they weren't ready, she says in a hiss. Mr. Warren is still so tangled up from what happened at Blakemore that his ability to sense where he needs to go next is completely blocked. And Miss Martin needs to understand more before we send her out to help anyone with her unfinished business. We need to understand more about what happened to her and what it might mean. My eyes widen, but I try not to move, straining to listen. I can appreciate that. Mr. Q folds one arm across his waist and strokes his beard. But we have precious little time as far as we know. There isn't much we can do with our students who have been twisted. The faster we can secure the remains of our new pupils, the better. Miss Alvarez lifts her hands, and if they're caught by the Xers and trapped, what can we do for them then? Miss Martin has the tools to handle that once she remembers them, but Mr. Warren has no defense against this kind of spell. I strongly advise against sending either of them out again until they are better prepared. With a sigh, Mr. Q nods. I promise to consider that. There is still a strong possibility that Kaz will track down their bodies before it is necessary for them to try again anyhow. In the meantime, we will continue training them. Perhaps this will help encourage Miss Martin's memories back more quickly as well. Miss Alvarez readjusts her glasses. Have you considered my other proposal on how to properly take care of her? I cover my mouth to keep from making a sound. That phrase has way too many meanings for me to be comfortable with. I have, and I'd prefer to take the route only if absolutely necessary. It could have consequences we don't foresee. Chewing my lower lip, I try to decide whether I should be relieved or not. Only if absolutely necessary usually means it's an unpleasant solution. It might help, Miss Alvarez says in a much softer voice. Not only her, but also the other students. If our theories about Miss Martin are correct, she could be putting everyone in danger. What in the realm of the dead? But with what little information we have about the situation, Mr. Q shakes his head. Give Theo more time. If anyone can track down her records, it's him. Then we can make a better informed decision. Removing her glasses, Miss Alvarez cleans them off with her scrubs, then replaces them on her nose. I just want what's best for Locklear, for all ghosts. As do we all, but please just give Theo a little more time. Miss Alvarez glances back into the room, and I shut my eyes, hoping she didn't notice me watching them. I can do that. Goodness knows I'd prefer to avoid those steps as well. All we can do is our best by them, Mr. Q says. Our best. resist the urge to curl in on myself just in case Miss Alvarez is still looking at me. Somehow that feels like it might protect any form